Psalm 139. This has to be one of the most intimate psalms, one of the best known psalms. It's an absolute feast of theology. What you tend to get with Psalm 139 is recognition that all the omnis, all right, the omnipresence of God, the omniscience of God, the omnipotence of God, all of that is being described. But instead of using that language, I really appreciate one of the commentaries I was looking at. It kind of identifies, notices that this is far more personal. It's not just declarations of truth and systematic labeling. This is a psalm that is richly personal. Let me show you what I mean. It starts like this: O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from afar. You search out my path and my lying down, and are acquainted with all my ways, even before a word is on my tongue. Behold, O Lord, you know it altogether. It goes on for a couple more verses, but this is the, if you like, the omniscient section of the psalm. But it's more than that. This is God's perceiving something incredibly personal. So the language of searching me and knowing when I sit down and when I rise up, discerning and searching out, acquainted with, like you're close enough to know, even before a word is on my tongue, you know it. And so this is the perceiving reality of God, intensely personal connection to his people. In the next section, from verse 7 down to verse 12, we see the omnipresence of God. But again, it's not enough to give it the theological label. Notice the personal nature of this. Where shall I go from your spirit, or where shall I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there your hand shall lead me, and your right hand shall hold me. Wherever I go, you follow me there. There's a sense of pursuit. I suppose we see it up here in this first part of the section here. Where shall I go? Where shall I flee? Our God is a God who pursues us. Not just that he's everywhere, but there's a sense in which his everywhereness is his pursuit of us. And again, intensely personal. So we've seen his perceiving of us, his pursuing of us. And then in the third section, from verse 13 down to verse 18, we see God's omnipotence. Sure, we see God's planning. Again, it's a power that's used personally. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of the earth. You saw my unformed substance. In your book were written, every one of them, the days that were formed for me, when as yet there was none of them. God doesn't just have the power to create the wonder of the human body. That's amazing. But he plans our days. And so we've got this intensely personal perceiving and his pursuing of us and his planning our days for us. And so what's the response? The response, I've put the whole thing on here. To begin with, the first few verses seem a little bit, strong. But actually, I want you to see something here. In light of the first 18 verses, in light of the reality that our God is such a personally involved God in our lives, so David takes it personally when people are against God. That's what we've got here from 19 to 22. It's the personal nature of our passion for God. Oh, that you would slay the wicked, O God. O men of blood, depart from me. They speak against you with malicious intent. Your enemies take your name in vain. Do I not hate those who hate you, O Lord? Do I not loathe those who rise up against you? I hate them with complete hatred. I count them my enemies. When they rise up against you, I take it personally. That's the kind of language that comes out from someone who's fully grasped the fact that God is involved in their lives personally. And so I suppose the real big P at the end of the section here, this personal Psalm 139, this God who perceives us and pursues us and plans our days. Yeah, we take his reputation personally, but we pray. Here's the prayer, not just the bit we've already read, but the famous part at the end. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts. See if there be any grievous way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. The prayer of response to a God who is so intensely personal. Psalm 139, what an absolute treasure that psalm is for us. Read it, enjoy it, ponder it, pray your way through it, and be sure to share it with others as well.